They told us there was not going to be any Easter eggs, and there was a ton. I actually have a video of that already on my channel, but we are going to talk all about Andor episode number 4. Anyone and everyone in the chat, feel free to hang out, ask questions, and yeah, spend time with me and my amazing guests, and we'll do that right here on the high ground. Hello, beautiful people. How is everyone doing today?
What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm excited. Andor has been like what I've been waiting for because I kind of love that political thriller spy stuff.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie, and this is kind of has that like Cold War espionage type thing going on. And by the way, feel free to jump out. I want this to be as conversational as possible, so just start talking. And if feel free to interrupt me, I'll shut up. But overall, how are you guys enjoying?
Jen, you
I'm
got it. You can go first.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, I'm a huge Rogue One fan. That's my favorite kind of Star Wars. And I say this all the time that there's a Star Wars for everybody. And some people love the space wizards, and then some people love like the blaster on your hip kind of underworld kind of person, and that's me. So this is exactly kind of the Star Wars I've been waiting for. And then seeing a spy show like what you said about being an espionage thing, I just think that's so fascinating seeing people trying to infiltrate the empire because it's not just, as we know with war, it's not just battles on the ground and battles in the air. It's also like intel and finding out where troops are moving and stealing things and moving funds. And I just find that it's so interesting to see that in Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about you, Nate?
Yeah. I can't stand it. No, I love it. I mean, this is I'm right there with you, Jen. I think this is right up my alley. I love the spy thriller, diving into these characters. I like that I loved Rogue One. I like the development with Cassian Andor, but it's not just jumping into like a Kenobi, Anakin, which I love. I love Kenobi too. It's not a character that's that deep with knowledge of information we've already gotten. So we know enough, but there's also a ton of story to be told, which is really exciting. So
Yeah. And we have Tropical Joe. I'm seeing here. It looks like that the connection is a little weak, and I know you're out of in a different part of the country. But how's it going? So it looks like we can't hear you right now. But from where I'm seeing, I see that your network connection is like it's actually 0 out of 10. That's what it's showing me.
I like those odds.
Never tell me the odds.
There it is.
Cassian Andor.
Cassian Andor.
We also want to do a shout out. Died in the Forest. That's
let's go.
Star Wars family, hands up. Absolutely. But yeah, why don't we, while we have Tropical Joe out working through it. By the way, I want to thank Tropical Joe right here on the podcast because I was his +1 to the premiere. That was amazing. I loved that so much. Which I got to run into Jen there as well.
That's right.
That was just
so
a
cool.
one of a kind experience.
Really
so
was.
I appreciate it. And we still can't hear you. We may have to have you hop out and try to switch browsers again or something like that. But yeah, why don't we do some formal introductions? And I am going to ask, like we said, this is kind of a new genre for Star Wars. So why don't you give us, who you are, where we can find your awesome content, and I'm going to have you pitch a Star Wars show that's in a genre that we haven't seen before. All right, so you guys get to go creative with it. go as wild as possible. Oh, your connection looks much better, Joe.
Can you guys hear me? Oh God,
Yes.
I feel so bad because my connection like is my cellular, so it's all crazy. But it's a pleasure to talk to all of you. Thank you, Choco, for coming with me to the event. It was my first Star Wars event, and it was damn near perfect. I've had a ton of fun, and I'm excited to see what shows you guys are gonna pitch. Thinking about mine for a little bit.
Awesome. And everyone in the chat, feel free to pitch yours as well. I think any genre can exist inside of Star Wars. I'll just get mine out of the way really quick. We got to see the inside of Imperial bureaucracy. Just a bunch of people clamoring to make it to the top. There was a show called Better Off Ted. Did any of you guys watch that show? It was like a highly... It was like... It was this corporation. It was just highly, satirized. So it was a major comedy, but it's these people who are like having to pitch things to their executives. Their company is one of those out of control conglomerates that is trying to make weird stuff in the basement, and they have the commercials where it's just kids running in fields and then like wind turbines and stuff like that, and they don't ever say anything about what they actually do. It's just like community, family, our company, and then there's like a black and a white person holding hands, and you're like, what is this? I want something like that. I think we can get an Imperial workplace comedy. Seeing the interactions inside of the ISB, seeing the interactions between the Inquisitors and Kenobi, I just think we could get a full sitcom out of Imperials being dumb but trying to climb the corporate ladder. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Brandon, you stole mine. That has always been what I've said. I want an Imperial workplace comedy, wow. And it has to be something where there's no death and there's no war. Like it has to be funny all the time. I don't want like a MASH situation where sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's tragic. So it could be a workplace, or it could be I was always imagine some super outpost thing where it's like a bunch of dumb grunts trying to keep the peace, but it's like they're just bumbling idiots. So maybe mine would be a little bit different. But the same thing, I want a comedy featuring Imperials.
Yeah. And why don't you give everyone where you can find you and your content?
Oh, I'm Jen, and TikTok's the big one, Jen Markham. Also YouTube, Jen Markham. And then Instagram is Jen_Markham, because you can't, that's how it goes. But yeah, I mostly do skits and talk about what I like about Star Wars and costumes. So
Jen has the most incredible costumes, and so many of them. I'm like always just in awe of like how
that's cool.
And it's all, I believe you make all of it yourself.
I do. Yeah,
really.
I do. I make all mine myself. Wow.
Yeah, and incredible. Like I remember videos of you. Wasn't it walking around Walmart in the full Mando armor?
I went to his grocery store, but I think of Dak Jarin as the one who went to Walmart a lot. But I did one where I ended up at the grocery store in my Mando. Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's
jealous.
So cool.
That's so cool.
How about you, Joe? You've been cooking on yours for a while. So what are you gonna bring to the table?
Okay. So my big thing is I've always thought about missing in Star Wars, and I think a horror themed show might be great, especially since we're going. So the first thing that came to my mind was the Witches of Dothamir. So like I like the first one. I believe her name is like Alia, who wrote the Book of Law, that basically tell the Jedi suck, are gonna hate them for eternity. I would love to see that happen in live action. I'm excited to see that, partially how the planet feels in Fallen Order, and actually explore all of that. So if this were to happen in live action, this would be killer, like pun intended. A larger audience, I think, connected to a story that's not brushed up, not brushed over in terms of like the brutality of it, but I don't know. We can explore other themes than just the typical like modeled for kids type of show. That's just my take on it.
I like that a lot. I mean, we had when General Grievous marched on the Dathomir witches, and then they started like bringing dead people out to fight. You're like, how do you? This is crazy. But once again, where can we find you and your content?
So I'm Tropical Joe on and Instagram, and then I have 3 channels on YouTube. It's and then Tropical Joe Shorts. So lots of pop culture content, including the galaxy far, far away first loves. So
yeah, definitely follow Tropical Joe. Best energy, lots of stuff all the time. Was just working with Microsoft or with Xbox on some stuff. So he's doing some big things.
Wow.
You know? I'm
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta get over there and follow you guys. I gotta. What am I doing?
Yeah. Last but not least, Nate, what do you got?
Yeah, it's funny. Joe said that. I was thinking kind of a similar vibe with the horror or thriller, scary genre. Not sure if Star Wars will do it, but like you said, it's available. I think it's interesting. I would like it. But I guess it's to try and be different. Since you said that, maybe like a mystery. I don't know. I don't have a sort of era as far as prequels or High Republic, Old Republic, but maybe like a mystery of some sort, like give me Ryan Johnson with a Knives Out mystery, Star Wars edition or something.
That's what I was. Knives Out, baby. Knives Out Star Wars. That would be great.
That would be cool. Murder on the Halcyon Legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a bunch of like Ammandos and smugglers and senators and different people all on the ship. Someone dies, and then you have an investigator who has to get down to the bottom of it, and like
no one can leave.
And why?
Yep,
that would be dope.
Yeah.
I'm definitely into that. I also had a secondary idea. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tag and Bink. There's old comics about Tag and Bink, and they're 2 stormtroopers that were so dumb that they almost brought the Empire to their knees out of their sheer stupidity. And it's just these bumbling stormtroopers. And I want Donald Faison, and basically I want JD and Turk from Scrubs to be Tag and Bink and just having fun and like doing stuff. I think that would be beautiful as well.
That sounds great.
In the chat, I have Jordy Jedi, Connor. A Drengir horror show would be fantastic. Yeah. The Drengir are big old plant monsters in Star Wars that, they eat humans. I don't know why.
You don't want to mess with them, yeah.
I feel like trees would be vegetarian. I don't know. They eat light, right? I don't know. Night Sisters live actions. We have some love of that. Chill in the Basement wants a suspense thriller where a group of Jedi crash onto a planet so steep in the dark side that all flora and fauna are effective and aggressive. That would be cool.
Yeah.
They have to get to the bottom of like what happened on this planet. Dexy Download one. I want a Sith ghost horror story of relic hunters being slowly taken out. Think of The Descent as my inspiration. That sounds dope. Write that, please. Write that immediately.
Yes.
With all the horror suggestions too, I think what Andor is showing that Star Wars is becoming more open to the idea of doing more adult things. I mean, in Andor, there's curse words we haven't heard in Star Wars before. The whole show opens with Cassian walking into a full-on brothel, talking to a prostitute. I mean, there's always an argument that Star Wars is for kids, and it is. But we can do other things that aren't still within PG-13, but maybe more towards the upper edge of that, Or maybe, I don't know, 5 years before Disney Plus, we didn't think maybe a horror show would be possible. Now I could see them doing it.
Yeah, I know people like want a rated R Star Wars, and I don't need that.
No, exactly.
Because, like, again, it's rated R by like violence, sex, or like nudity. And
Profanity, yeah.
I don't need like lightsabers cauterized, so it's not going to be super bloody. So you'd have to go extra to get an R rating. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's needed. Although Darthman 87 wants a Joker style show following Jar Jar after the events of
Jar Jar is just
that'll be the rated R one. The Jar Jar one.
I could pick
Darth Jar Jar. If it's Darth Jar Jar,
yeah, make it canon.
I can see Jar Jar like dancing up and down those steps like a madman. Like,
Oh, for sure. He'd stumble a couple times, but he'd dance.
yeah. Still waiting for it. Treasure hunting, underworld antiquity dealing Afra show. That would be cool. And I know I say this for everything, but I need Quinlan Voss to show up. Anything having to do with antiques or antiquities, like he can touch them and his psychometry works, and he can glean the backstory of that object, you know, just like Cal Kestis. And that's just always cool when you have these. But anyways, Nate, did you give us where we can find you and all of your content?
Yeah, so the handle you see on the screen, Nathan_Messer, that's my TikTok. My handles change everywhere, which is tragic. But on Instagram, it's the same thing. It's Nathan_Messer, but with a 1 at the end. And then YouTube, got my own podcast, Star Wars Guys, on YouTube. Chaco's, been a guest, and I'd love to have Jen and Joe on there at some point. But yeah, I mean, search. You can find it. Search my name. I think hopefully it'll come up. most of it's Nathan_Messer.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I mean, Joe knows all about when your handles change.
But yes,
I have been working out a lot, so I'm trying to get my handles to change, but that's a whole different type. We can jump into the episode itself though, because this was I feel like they are sticking with kind of a 3 episode arc structure. I feel like next episode we're gonna get the beginning of that heist thing and build up to a point, and then we're gonna get the end of the escape in the third one and kind of move on. But kind of overall, how did you guys feel about this episode number 4? Was it enough to keep your interest, and what parts of it, or I guess what performances piqued your interest? I'll go to Joe first.
Okay, so I'm beginning to appreciate the procedural aspect of watching how the because usually it's just like smoke and mirrors, blow up a planet, or like just send some grunts that mess with Lord. So I really liked the way that they were framing the different. I forgot the name of the actress that plays officer that's trying to interfere with the other guy's sector. So the bureaucracy behind the Empire is fun to see. It's Empire. It's a functioning business, honestly, that they have to. That it's a galaxy-wide business that they have to make sure that it runs. And then you have underlying plot of obviously Cassian Andor joining this rebel group that's trying to steal the Empire's money during a once in a 3-year event. Like, it had enough pieces to keep going on the procedural aspect of the Empire, but of higher stakes for Andor getting into his first real job for the Alliance. The performance that interests me more is definitely Mon Mothma. Like that was just so cool. The interaction that she had with her husband being, just, why are you putting these people in my dinner table? They hate me. They literally they try to go against every decision. That is something that we haven't seen before, and it feels refreshing. To some.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I just looking at Genevieve O'Reilly's costuming and I was like, damn, can I cosplay that? I don't know, man.
Her house,
it had a
the architecture.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they seem to be doing all right. They seem to be doing all right.
right.
How about you, Jen?
Oh, I really like the episode. I am enjoying ho- a criticism I've had with a lot of Disney Plus shows, mostly Marvel, but Star Wars too, is they don't nail the pacing, right? Like we have to get a great start, and then the middle kind of loses its way, and then they cram way too much in the very ending. And the fact that this one is being paced in a different way, like we're not having an adventure complete within 45 minutes, I think is really exciting that they're taking the show, they're taking time to tell the story as it's supposed to be told, and the middle might take longer, and hopefully the ending will take longer too. So I really like the pacing. I liked finally getting to the Empire and seeing what they're up to, as you were saying, Joe, about the bureaucracy. And I think it's going to be important to point out, to show that how is the Empire so evil? You know what I mean? Like, not everyone could be like twisting their mustaches and being like full on villains, but it's a lot of reaching for power, inner office struggles, like I want what you have, and ladder climbing, and they lose sight of what's right or wrong kind of thing. That makes me really interesting to see. What you're saying about Mon Mothma's husband, I get a little tired of that when you see a powerful woman and then
Okay.
of course their husband isn't powerful and there's a struggle there. It's like I have seen that a little bit. It would be cooler if they were a team. That would be a more refreshing portrayal for me. But I like how obviously we want to see conflict, and she's playing both sides, and to see that played at a dinner table is going to be really interesting. And of course, like you were saying, Brandon was the design, so many beautiful coats. And I liked how their dinner table kind of reminded me of like Bespin. It was that same very white, very bright look. It looked like elegant Star Wars. Like the design was like perfect.
Yeah, and it was like a bonsai, like cherry blossom that was white all over. Oh, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
God, I hate her husband so much. But like,
he's going to die. I'm calling it. Sorry,
Yeah.
No.
So while I agree with you, Jen, I would like to see them as a team. In any other medium, we never see Mon Mothma with someone on her arm. so
yes, he's going, but I just it's a trope I've seen enough that I was like, oh, we're doing this again. The guy's resentful of her power, and he stays at home, and he does the dinner table, and he doesn't like it, and it's like, oh, that's not fresh to me personally, but like the tiny
fair.
like still 99 out of 100. So
yeah, absolutely
makes sense.
How about you, Nate?
I mean, just piggybacking on what you all said, the costume, the look, their house, their place they're at. I mean, it's all incredible. Looks great. It's such a big scale. You can tell it's very evident how big the scale is just in the show. As far as performances go, Mon Mothma is great. I've been looking forward to that. We finally get her in this episode. And then also Luthen. Like, it's just fantastic. Skarsgård, I mean, and getting to see the dynamic between the two of them was something I was really looking forward to, seeing him put on the wig and just him switching the roles now too. Seeing them both playing the different sides and kind of just playing the game. It's a little Game of Thrones universe-ish where people are kind of putting on a face here and there to portray one way, and then as soon as they go back behind the window, they start talking business and why she's really there. And I love all those details, those conversations. So it's seeing them together was great.
Yeah. I put on a little background music while we talk, but going off of that, I mean, I really did want to take some time and have us talk about Skarsgård, about the character of Luthen, because right at the beginning of this, who is this man? And and I don't know, I mentioned this last week too, but I was doing an MCU rewatch, and when we saw the first episodes, we had just watched Thor: The Dark World. And so I'm like, that's the man that was running around naked at Stonehenge? That's the dude? So what do you guys, because we saw several different versions of Luthen in this one episode. We saw him pitching, his cause to Andor.
Yo, when he snapped too.
When he snapped with her,
Yeah.
but he was playing her with what she needed to do the thing, and then he puts on a wig and the rings, and then becomes a different person.
He's practicing
again.
Right, he becomes like the collector from Guardians, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who is this man? What do you guys think of Luthen, and what are you kind of expecting for us to see from him in the future?
I like that I don't have any idea how to answer that. You know, I'm thinking like I don't have any idea, because in a way we know from Star Wars that there's partisans, and like Saw Gerrera is one. There must be others and different things, but he seems to have a lot of resources. But it also seems to be just him. Like he doesn't travel with a crew, but he's also liaising with people on the ground and liaising with people at the very, very top. I have no idea, and that's fascinating to me. He's the standout character so far for me.
Yeah, he's such a wild card. How about the rest of you guys?
To make another Game of Thrones parallel, he seems like the Littlefinger of the Rebel Alliance. That person, that X factor in terms of logistics, because he knows exactly what Val's plan is. He's like, you were short a man, so at any point you can complete the mission, but it's going to cover most of your bases. So he's got the smarts, he's got the strategy side, and he's got the resources. The big thing for so well, as soon as he started like clapping his hands and making these like great gestures out in character, and then completely drop it at the blink of an eye as soon as Mon Mothma gets to Steen acting. He's like, are you gonna deliver for us? Like, are you sure? Because I'm now, and I'm like, bro, this is a great character to introduce to this type of show. I loved Stellan's performance. And I will be very before the end of this. Like, it has to be a sacrifice by the end. I don't want him to go. He's not you, Nate. What do you think?
Yeah, he's the teacher, the mentor.
Yeah.
They all gotta go.
Yeah.
At some point in time.
Fair.
But I love him, recruiting, and he's like, and Cassian's like, who? Alliance, Sep, Guerrilla, Partisan Front.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same thing. And
Yeah.
you're like, damn, that was a cold line.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the character, I love the character. Every time he's talking on screen, I'm just locked in, just because he's playing so many different roles, different pieces. But I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, he's not just a clear. I mean, and I think this is what this show is going to touch on. He's not just like a clear good guy. Like, to him, Cassian's expendable. He's not just like, hey, this is what we're doing. Everything's good. Don't kill. Don't shoot first. Like, he's ready. As soon as Cassian walks in, he's got what's the Empire, or the whatever the guy's name is in the third episode. Cassian walks up behind him, puts a gun to his head, and he's like, kill him. Like, I'll kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not afraid to just get dirty, and he, even with Cassian, he tells the other girl that, well, he's here for a mission. If he's not helping, like, kind of do what you gotta do, sort of thing. So he wants him to help out, but as soon as he questions whether Cassian will actually deliver or not, he's just ready to just do what he's got to do. And so I think we'll see him continue to kind of peel back some of those layers to really work towards becoming full in on just like good right before maybe we lose him, but we'll see.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out before we get the related, did any of you see the Easter egg to The Force Unleashed? Freaked out.
Absolutely.
So when Luthen, her husband's like gift in the shop, the armor in the armor from the video game The Force Unleashed from Sam Witwer's character, and people were going crazy. I did one search on Twitter, and they're like, "Did they just make Starkiller Andor?" And I was like, "Some people have to have seen this because I'm like, that's his armor." I have not. I'm waiting for Sam to tweet, but if not, you can try to find these. It's really cool.
Yeah. So while we were in this shop, which by the way, that shop is the absolute perfect cover because it means he can meet with different people across the entire galaxy. You can be, and depending on what groups you are researching, you're bound to run into certain things. But on my channel, I did a breakdown of all of the Easter eggs I could find in the shop, and so just real quick, I'll just run through them because while we were in there, yes, so we did see the Sith Stalker armor in the background. We also got to see a Beskar breastplate from a Mandalorian, which we know likely was pillaged from a body after the Night of a Thousand Tears, and that's something that that Din Djarin mentions right when he's talking to Boba Fett to give him his armor. He says, that armor belongs to Mandalore. This was likely pulled off of the bodies, of a fallen Mando. We also got to see, there was, right, so that's one culture that was destroyed by the Empire. There was also a set of Wookiee armor in there as well. That's another culture destroyed by the Empire. We also get to see some of the stones in the back had the hands on them from the ones that you see in Rebels later on. Remember the Loth Wolf gives the stone with the hands, and I use that to figure out how to enter the world between worlds. One of those stones is in the background here, right? But that is a Jedi artifact that was unearthed and destroyed by the Empire. We also get to see a Gungan shield and a Gungan energy shield without the energy thing on was in the background. First battle that started the Clone Wars. We also got to see one of the things I thought was really fascinating because I saw this two-headed snake thing that kind of went like this, and I was like, I've seen that before, but I can't figure out where. And I searched through everything Star Wars to try and find it, and I couldn't. Then I figured out what it was. That is almost a carbon copy of a Mexican Aztec tablet that is currently on display at the British Museum.
Wow.
That's Diego Luna being Mexican, that's part of his culture.
Yeah.
Taken
that's
by
cool.
the Empire. Like there's so many
little Easter eggs
and layers. I spent hours. I slept for 2 hours because I had to. So much cool stuff in there, but such an excellent cover. But yeah, while we are we're hanging out here on Coruscant, I want to talk about our man Cyril Karn, because we get to see have to answer to what he did, and I'm curious what you guys think about it. But for me, the way it hit home was we see so much propaganda, which I love cop shows and I love cop movies and stuff like that. But these are a lot of times it's a cop who like, this thing was wrong, and even though the rules don't allow me, I can go renegade and take this thing down. And that's what he did. And it was not glorified in this at all. I'm curious how you guys feel about our man Cyril Karn, and what happens to him.
Do we know what happens to him? He walks off, but I don't think that's the end of him. We're going to see him again, I think. No?
Well, yeah. Well, he walks off and then goes back to his mom and gets that slap in the face, which was rightfully deserved. But that's what I'm kind of asking. What do you think? What do you think he's going to do? I mean, do you think he's going to give up the fight.
Oh no, he is too big on the poster. I mean, to have a part that's only in a few episodes, he's coming back. So I think he's either going to want. So why did he lose his job? Cassian, is he going to go try to find that guy and get revenge? That's one trope that I've seen that one might think that he might do. Will he join the Empire? If he has this like need for the badge, which is something that we've seen, sometimes bad cops go become bad feds. You know, he might do that. I don't know. I don't think we've seen the last of him though.
I agree.
Become a stormtrooper or something. I don't know.
That's what makes me so happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Same thing. The fact that I have no guess, I think it means that the writing is pretty good.
Yeah.
Joe?
No.
Go, Nate. Go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I agree. I mean, I think to add to that, with potentially blaming Cassian, I think he might also look at the Empire, because he's been just dogged down the whole time of like, don't do it, don't, and then he goes and does it, and then he's getting discipline, and he's like, so I wonder if part of that drive will be Cassian's to blame, but also like, I want to work my way up the ladder as well, because I want to be the one in control where no one can tell me what to do or discipline me. So I think it might be a little bit of both, and that will continue to drive him to that route, I guess, getting back at Cassian, but also trying to like make things right in his mind, because like he is the character that thinks what he's doing is correct. Like, right. He's not someone that's just like he knows what he's doing is wrong.
No,
he went there because he went out because
Yeah.
he's like, this is the right thing to do. We had casualties, let's go and make amends. So I don't know, it's interesting. I really don't know. I don't know.
You know what? I think Young is onto something. He's just gonna find out about him, and then the two of them are gonna start their hunt for Cassian and any supposed rebel involved. I didn't even think about that, but that's the most logical case. If she can't get her hands on the actual report, she's gonna try and find someone that was there.
Right.
And he's no longer affiliated with them, so she probably can, and he's on Coruscant. Oh, that's just perfect. It's so obvious. I feel like an idiot. Thank you, Young.
And I think that I adding on to that further reinforces that like 3-episode arc, because obviously we see his Ferrex. Now we get to see the first real mission that Cassian is in with the Alliance, and let's say he fails or succeeds. Regardless, it's Empire, and that's going to be like the key trigger for both of them, and for Karn to be like, oh, this is a bigger threat that the Empire is trying. So because right now they're just saying, yep, there's disturbances everywhere. Just make sure you hit your quotas. Make sure, but at least Ferrex, we already know for a fact that system is now officially not under a company's control anymore. So that seems like the perfect segue. Maybe next season, or maybe at the end of the season, having Karn and Daedra work together makes a ton of sense, and it further reinforces the style that they're trying to. I think it's super cool, because I'm again just the same way that you. I'm pretty tired of self-contained stories. I want something like that expands over time lapse. So I think it makes sense. It's also going to be super cool to see them like.
Yeah, and then they're gonna fall in love. No, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, what did you guys think about Space Scotland? Because that's what that planet was, right? That was just Space Scotland, and he was walking around.
It struck me how much I prefer that though to like Space California. You know what I mean? In Obi-Wan, to me that was really hard. That just looked like where it was. Whereas at least this maybe because we're Americans and I don't know, it's just that looked more interplanetary to me. It made me think, oh, I read this and reminds me how much I did not love Space California in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I thought it was beautiful.
Anyone else keep waiting for her to say, "You know nothing, Jon Snow"? Like that was the vibes.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
And but so the last thing that we haven't really touched on yet is that whole plot. So Andor meets up with them, going by the name Clem, right, which is his adopted father's name. Which I think is cool. I think the name Clem just is weird, but you know, whatever. Um, what do you guys? I mean, I can't wait to see how this heist just unfolds, because it seems like there's a lot of interesting, parts running. And how do you run a heist when you don't trust all of the people there? What are you guys expecting?
A lot of
something's
dysfunction.
gonna go wrong. Yeah.
And he's someone that can back up any position. So now I'm curious what positions he's gonna have to back up. Obviously this thing is gonna go majorly awry, just like every heist film.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I wanted to see your guys. Oh, go. My bad, Jen.
No, I was going to say, I think it's going to succeed if it goes awry in the middle. I think it's going to succeed, first of all, because he's going to live. But, and we're in the middle of the show. But it'll be interesting to see how things go awry in the middle. And sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah.
No. What I was going to say is that, like, I like people that definitely, like, don't trust each other fully. Especially when, like, they introduce Andor to this group. One thing that stuck out to me, that your opinions on, is like the plan itself seems a little bit. Okay, how am I going to escape in this freighter if the atmosphere is basically exploding in midair because of this like astrological event? And I'm like, how are you going to escape the TIE fighters close to the ground and then stop a literal meteor the stratosphere? I was a little, unless I understood it wrong, it seemed like everybody thought it the entire way through. But I'm excited to see its execution.
Listen, if Luke can come up with his half-baked plan at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, of let's get all of our people and all of our assets kidnapped and taken away, wait till they're about to execute us, and then we'll just escape from there. And you're like, that's not a plan, dude.
Yeah.
If I look forward to seeing it. Also, I just want to see that astrological event. It sounds gorgeous.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I love it when they make these types of plans, but we'll see. I have data for us. Says, how do you run a heist with Harris there? We've been playing Grand Theft Auto Online, and one of our friends, Harris, it's just a wild card. And so you walk into a place in costume, and then like he's like, oops, and he accidentally threw a grenade, and you're like, come on, man, like, this was a stealth mission.
The keyword was accidentally right there.
You're right.
Yeah, if you accidentally do the same thing on a regular basis at some point, I don't know. I don't know.
What I like about the film too is that it does illustrate how the Empire is in these occupied worlds, in a live action setting, that there's these more nomadic people that are still having these ceremonies down the hill from where a garrison is set up. I think that's going to be really interesting to see in a way, maybe in live action we haven't seen as much of, where the Empire is existing and camping out in these, more indigenous planets. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they've affected this planet's culture, and like less people come out each year and stuff like that. It's all of it just stands to make you hate the Empire more. But seeing from this perspective, it doesn't feel like the Empire is evil. It feels like it's indifferent. It doesn't care about the existence of other people. And I just think it's a very poignant message right now. Going back to Mon Mothma's husband, he wants to sit with these people because he thinks they're fun, but like they're actively destroying people's lives and they don't care.
Right.
We have Harith in the chat. Not well. Yeah. um, I don't know. I just. And this is not a political channel, nor will it ever be. But like right now, I see politicians talking up and taking advantage of new things to get passed, and people are like, "Didn't you vote against this?" And they're like, "Oh, don't worry about that," you know. And it's I don't know. I just think there's some of these details in there that are just important, not only for right now, but just in general to comprehend how these big wheels of bureaucracy roll and run people over.
And the example they use with Mon Mothma says, well, they cut off a shipping lane. So you can see that decision was a financial one. It was a retribution one. It didn't consider at all the people that will starve, you know? So again, are they pure evil? Let's kill everybody. No, they're making a money business decision. But not only Mon Mothma, not only, but the other side is telling you, but look, that it actually affects real people in a way that you're not considering.
Right.
Yeah. And then is her husband evil for not caring or for wanting to hang out with those people despite knowing that?
Yeah.
It just brings up a lot of really interesting introspective questions that all of us can ask ourselves with what we're doing or supporting, you know?
Yeah. As far as the mission too, like I think from a plot standpoint, it'll be something's gonna go wrong, and it'll be a testament on because they don't trust Cassian right now, which right or wrong, they just met the guy, so it's like, will there be part of what potentially may go wrong? Is that going to be the opportunity for Cassian to really dive into the Rebel Alliance and all right, this is I stepped up, I saved someone, or I did this, and that was me showing them I'm really here. Or even maybe we see him struggle with that too, of I got to do this, looking around, I'm the one to do it, I'm here in this situation. Is that going to be what kind of pushes him to really dive all in? Because it seems like he keeps telling himself, we see the dialogue of oh, it's just one mission, it's just I'm just keeping myself safe, I just got out of there. So he's not really he's not the Cassian we obviously see later on. So I think this is just his first step into really starting to take the questions that Skarsgård telling them of do you really want to fight these people for real? And now this is going to be an opportunity for him to really kind of see maybe more of what he'll be able to do and how he could help. Yeah.
I mean, the one character said he was going to trust him because he thought he was down for the cause. And he's not at this point.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just going to say it. I miss the beard. I like the beard.
I think the beard also, because they're doing a little subtle de-aging on him, yeah?
Probably.
Subtle, but because
probably.
Yeah.
Which was, what's the math on that? It's 8 years ago, so he's 13 years older than he actually is supposed to be. It's subtle, and I think that I didn't get to see it on the very big screen this morning, but I felt like having the beard helped that effort. I mean, I think they're doing it. I think it's really good. I don't think it's super obvious, but I would just imagine of course they're doing it. They have to get him down. No, I thought without the beard, I thought it was more obvious that they were de-aging him.
I thought he looked younger for sure.
Yeah.
He definitely looked younger. I feel like most people when they shave beards, they look like children again.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
So it could just be him.
Yeah.
but no, I'm sure they are using de-aging to work on crow's feet and stuff like that and take out some of the aging sides. Last thing I wanted to mention is how multicultural their little ragtag group is. I don't know. It just made me smile.
And the Empire too,
Yeah,
it's nice to see. And the one guy they picked that's wearing the Imperial uniform in the ragtag group is also not white, which is not. It's nice.
Yeah, this where I kind of talk about, because I know there's always been complaints about it being forced or all this stuff, and the honest truth is, for a long period of time, people of color were excluded from the casting roles when in that role, if your skin color or race or ethnicity or a nationality don't play a part, then it should be open to anyone to audition and let the best audition win, right? If that stuff is important, good, cast for that. But if it's not, and so what we're seeing nowadays with Star Wars, with Rings of Power, with Game of Thrones, isn't injecting people of color into a thing already. No, it's no longer excluding them. And
Sure, yeah.
if in the past they were excluded, that's no excuse to continue to do so. So I wish more people could get that. But specifically seeing the Middle Eastern girl being part of their crew, because like I'm used to seeing white and black people on it. I don't ever see Indian people or Middle Eastern people or Asian people involved, and I didn't fully connect that until recently. So I don't know, it's just really encouraging. But yeah, that kind of rounds out the episode. I mean, was there anything that we missed? Any other points you guys wanted to bring up?
I got a question. Yeah, the blonde Imperial officer. What's gonna happen with her? Is she overstepping her boundaries? So she's trying to not stabilize the ladder but climb the ladder too quickly? What do you guys think?
Well, I wasn't sure also, and I only did get to see it once. I went to twice, but when he kind of said something about her that she's in a protected position or privileged position, or who she is. Like, did they ever explain that? Did I miss that? Is she someone's daughter? Is she from some place? Is she a princess? Like, what? Yeah. What is her deal?
I caught that too. It wasn't explained.
Okay.
And I'm curious if, I hope. I was hoping it was because she's someone's daughter, but she's wants to prove herself on her own. That's kind of the trope I was hoping for.
What they did say is that she was in enforcement, so like she was in a position. She held some position of semi-importance within the Empire before that. Just making an allusion to you've been here for like less than a year. Pipe down, because we've been working. She's just I think she's just trying to be an overachiever. But I did catch that, Jen, that she has some higher ups like above the
And I'm saying she's going on a date with me, and I'm going to turn it to the Rebel Alliance.
That's funny. I think there's zero. I don't know about going on a date with you, but I feel like there's zero chance she's going to the Rebel Alliance. Like, she's she's at the last boat out, man. She's not. She's Empire for life. She's got a tattoo. She's got the Emperor's photo in her barracks. Like, she's.
Oh yeah.
You know what she did that really convinced me on her as an actor is I don't know how to make my face show that much disdain. You know what I mean? Like, she gets that upturned lip thing where I can't even explain it, but like you see hatred of like things and people, and like
He died in the forest. I wasn't saying. I said she would go on a date with you, but I was saying the date possible. Change the Rebel Alliance not possible. That's what I was saying.
You underestimate his power, I guess.
You don't know the power of the dyad. If anyone could, it'd be you. But she'd have to watch a series of YouTube videos that you mix up. I think especially her, but all of the acting performances I thought were just phenomenal throughout.
Yeah.
Really good casting too, like what you're saying about the downturned mouth. I noticed a couple of the Empire guys around the big round table. I'm like, I could just see in the casting room, like, he's Empire. Yep, get him. him. You know, they got people that looked like they belonged at that table with their just
Yeah.
angry, worn down bureaucracy faces. It was really well done. And I like too how when they, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name, Mirren, the female Imperial officer who we were talking about, how they start on the shot of her behind with like the most perfect hair swirl you've ever seen. Like it is flawless. Like it says so much about her. Like that hair is freaking perfect. Like that's who she is. She is just like straight laced, like zeroing in on her ambition kind of thing. It was effective.
Yeah, definitely type A personality. Yeah, she's I'm really excited to see how the story unfolds. I also shout out to
I also
Blue Pulsar 66.
Oh,
How's
hey,
it going?
Blue Pulsar 66. Good to see you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, God, my bad.
I was done. I
You're
was just
good.
saying
You're
hi.
good.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
I was just gonna say that one of the big things that resonated me with Andor so far with the 4 episodes is the unfilled ambiguity, which I think was the solid value prop that Rogue One. The Empire sucks, but the Rebel Alliance is not perfect either. There are casualties that have to be made, and sometimes people just don't make it back home. So this group of people, I'm pretty sure we're going to see somebody bite the dust, but it also further cements that feeling that this is Star Wars for a reason. Like both sides are going to do reprehensible things that we just have to figure out, like what's the lesser of two evils. Do we take a couple of questionable decisions on the Rebel for thousands of immoral craziness? So I feel like that's perfectly reflected in the castings and the emotions that throughout these first 4 episodes. So I'm excited for episode 5. I don't know what anybody's saying. Like, there's a lot of people complaining on the internet.
Yeah, complaining gets views. I mean,
Yeah.
Unfortunately. There was also an implication, and I need to go back and do the math on this, but did Cassian serve with Han on Mimban?
Oh, that's right. He says he was 16. But then they said he was a cook. So
Yeah, I'm saying he could have. Excuse me.
Which I'm like, well, what was his favorite thing to cook? I want to know about the food.
Could have cooked
Does that
Han's
timing
food.
work out? How old is he now? And if he was 16 in Mimban, when was that? Was that the same time as Han?
And so that's why I haven't quite done the math on it. And also, there's some things that are kind of tinky because they played around with his background by retconning it by making the official records false. But like by the official record, he would be like 21 in this show.
This show he's 21.
Oh damn!
He's supposed to be 26 in Rogue One.
Yeah. Which you don't look at, but this is Star Wars.
This is Star Wars.
Overtake.
Listen, you saw what the sun did to.
Oh yeah, that Tatooine sun doesn't aid you well.
And this planet had the
Uncle Owen
toxic
and
mining incident. It's very rough on the skin, kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
He's supposed to be 21, and Mimban was 5 years ago, and Solo is 19 is 10 years before. Wait, is it 10 years after Return of the Sith or 10 years before?
10 years after Revenge of the Sith, I believe.
Okay.
But
We're
yeah,
off.
we're gonna have to do.
There's a gap, maybe. Like
There's a gap, but we don't know how long he was there. So
true.
I'm saying it's possible that at some point in time, Cassian Andor cooked food for Han Solo and for Valance, but that's a comic deep cut. So, but Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out and talking with me. I know this was mostly a setup episode for this arc, so we did have a little bit less, but there were so many cool bits, and this is the start and introduction of a lot of cool characters. I'll go around, and if you guys have any final thoughts or things that you want to plug that you have coming up, that you want viewers to check out. So yeah, final thoughts. Where we can find you and your awesome content, and if you have any plugs or news coming up. I'll start with Nate.
All right. Final thoughts. I mean, I'm loving the show. I can't really explain it, but it feels very, very Star Wars, but also different, and I love the balance between the two, and that's kind of what excites me so much about the show. I'm loving it. As far as where to find me, my handle again is there, Nate_Master. That's on TikTok. I'm about to hop off of this and go straight to my own Star Wars podcast. So I'll be live again in 30 minutes on YouTube. So that'll be Star Wars Guys on YouTube. It's, a family podcast, my brother and uncle, and it's just what we do every day, talking Star Wars, talking shop. So yeah,
I will try to join if I don't fall asleep as soon as this ends.
Yeah, I know it's
yeah, running on 2 hours. Well, technically 3 because I had a nap before starting this. But how about you, Tropical Joe?
Well, you can find me at I'm Tropical Joe on TikTok, Instagram. Right now, the only big thing I'm working on, well, I'm streaming or preparing for the second God of War game to pop out in November. One thing that I would love to plug, because I don't see enough people talking about it. If you haven't, it is by far one of the best action movies I've seen this month. So I started yesterday tomorrow. The Woman King with Viola Davis.
Okay.
With The Woman King with Viola Davis. It is so good. So I'm making my review on that on my YouTube, so you can watch that when it's out, probably this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, and again, thank you for for bringing me along with you. It was amazing. And last but certainly not least, we have Jen Markham.
Hey, so I'm Jen Markham, all one word. On TikTok is my big one, and then YouTube is behind that. Also Jen Markham, and then Jen_Markham on Instagram. I don't really have stuff to plug. I was traveling a ton this past month, and I think I'm finally home for a little bit. I will be at New York Comic Con next weekend. So if anyone of you in the Northeast going to New York Comic Con, I'm going to be there every day volunteering with the 501st. And I'll have that information about where and when. You can, if you want to come and say hi, on my socials.
And can we get a preview of who you're going to be?
Oh my gosh, someone just asked me that. I honestly haven't had time. All I know for sure is I'm doing Bo-Katan on Friday for a photo shoot. But I'll be doing mostly Star Wars because I'm volunteering with the 501st. So
that's awesome.
Randall will be in there somewhere and all that. So
awesome. And you know what? Actually, before we close out, I want to do one final lightning round question. Because Jen, someone brought this up in your live earlier, and I just thought it was a really cool question. They said, if you could mix a Star Wars and a Marvel character together to make a new character, who are you choosing? And tell me a little bit about them. I just remember that. And to answer the question, my favorite Muppet would be Animal. That's who I would be. But anyways, that was another question that was asked in her live. People in the chat, if you're still with us, let me know if you mix your Star Wars and Marvel character together. Who are you coming out with? Does anyone have theirs already? All right, Joe, what do you got?
Mando and Deadpool. I feel like we need
that beats mine.
I feel like that's like the lackadaisical bounty hunter would be so great. It would just be great. It's like, oh my god, do I look like Han Solo? Am I Han Solo right now? Versus Greedo right now? Like I would love to see Wade as a Mandalorian. The most fun show on Disney Plus ever. So I'll take that.
That sounds amazing. I could picture like in the Jedi episode of The Mandalorian, I could picture him irritating Ahsoka. She takes his head off, and then he puts it back on. I just think that would be amazing. How about you, Jen?
Oh, that's tough to beat. I think maybe someone like mixing Yelena and Bo-Katan. And that'd be like a fun vibe. I don't know what the show would be, but those were two, because there's so many obvious ones like Jedi Strange or like Sith Wanda, those would be great too. But I'm like, wait a minute, that's not really my thing. And so I was thinking maybe Bo-Katan and Yelena, like, a little power hungry, a little dangerous kind of thing. So
love it. Beautiful.
I like that.
Yeah.
How about you, Nate?
I think I'm going Ahsoka and Wanda, Scarlet Witch. I think it's a good balance between light and dark, and the combo is powerful.
Nice. I'm specifically picturing Ahsoka on the Mortis planet when she's
that's what I was going for.
And stuff.
Yeah. And I do want to say too, Jen and Joe, great meeting you.
Yes, great. I was following everybody on Instagram while we were doing this.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm going to go follow you guys everywhere. So, and Chaco, thanks for having us on.
One of my favorite things about doing this is trying to pull different people and like put them all together, and sometimes lifelong friends come out of it. That's how Juju met Stoobs was on one of these. It's just a lot of fun to mix everything up. I have Pep in the chat saying Quinlan Voss and Gambit.
Ooh.
So you can touch an object, read it, and then charge it and blow it up. I'm into that. I'm into that. Young says Mon Mothma and Black Widow. Yeah, a senator in the streets,
an assassin,
and an assassin everywhere else. Yeah, that sounds awesome. For me, I am going to go with this one might be a little too on the nose, but the Bad Batch. I'm going to go with Hunter Wolverine.
Oh,
nice.
Oof.
Oh
man,
yeah,
those are some good ones.
It just
I
works
see that
for me.
for sure. Oh yeah,
I see that.
yeah.
With the hair.
Yeah. I have Alex McBrayer in the chat says feels like Wanda fits perfectly into Night Sisters. So I could also see a Wanda Asajj Ventress that would be horrifying.
You made me think like Hunter and Omega turned Logan.
Oh my god!
Like story, yeah.
X-23 Omega.
These
I love that so much.
Yeah.
All right, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi in here. It says Wrecker in the thing. Oh man, these are all awesome. Thank you for indulging that my last minute question. I just had to find out your guys' thoughts, and you've probably spanned a lot of stuff. I'll go on AO3 at some point. But anyways, thanks again, all of you guys, for coming out. Thanks in the chat, Level One Kenobi, Young. We have Pep, Alex McBrier. We have the Pod Ones podcast, Blue Pulsar 66, chilling in the basement. Harris Productions, Gambit Productions, Dixon Download, Aaron Timothy, and just a lot of awesome people. KG. I feel like I always have the best chat, and it just makes me so happy. So they're why I continue to do this and to hang out with you guys. So once again, thank you very much for coming out, and may the force be with you always.
And with you.